Look, if you didn't know that I was looking at a tomato right now, I mean, you'd think that's a peach, right? Guten gardening, everybody. In today's video, I'm going to take you on a tour of our container tomatoes because we think that some of these might be the best fit for you in your patio garden. Some of these tomatoes are pretty unique, and almost all of them were gifts to us from people in our community. And we want to definitely say thank you to those members, and I'll do that when I get to their tomatoes. But let's go ahead and take a look at these awesome container tomatoes. So when we're looking for an ideal tomato for our containers, we're looking at the structure of the tomatoes, we're looking at the size of the tomatoes, we're certainly looking at productivity, and then of course you got to look at the taste. Well, first I'm going to shout out Andrea, who sent us a couple of different varieties here that are absolutely awesome. In fact, I think my favorite one of all from her is right behind me. Underneath all of these zinnias in our dream boat, we have some of these awesome tiny Tim Dwarf tomatoes. That's it right there. That's the whole tomato. It's about 8 to 10 inches tall, and it is loaded down with these delicious cherry tomatoes. Now, if you take a look at it, it's compact, of course, it's a dwarf. It doesn't get much bigger than this. There is more fruit than leaves on here. I've got another one growing right behind it. All right, check it out right here. I mean, these are loaded down. I'd say in terms of ratio of plant size to fruit production, this is right up there. Now, most of the time, the reason why we grow in containers is we don't have a lot of other space. If we're growing on our patio, that might be our main garden space. So if you're looking for a tomato that you could put plenty of in a tiny area, these tiny Tim Dwarf tomatoes are a great fit. And the taste, that's garden candy at its finest. It does have a little bit of a thicker skin, but the flavor is sweet. It's got that nice pop as soon as you eat it. Now, Andrea also gave us this Baris Crazy tomato in some of the seeds that she sent to us. Now, for this particular tomato, the main stem itself is going to require some support. You see we have a bamboo cane here because it tends to spread out. You can see the roots that would form here. See all those little bumps right along the stem? If we allowed this to crawl along, it would continue growing up and out. So it's going to require a little bit of support. But if we look at the amount of fruit that is growing on this tomato plant, it is all over. So this is a highly productive tomato. And the fruit, are you kidding me? Have you ever seen anything like that before? You've got like this yellowish color at the top, kind of a white tinge at the bottom. And the taste for this one, oh, a nice crunch, really sweet, a hint of a tanginess to it, fantastic aftertaste. This one, 10 out of 10 can recommend. And also from Andrea, we have these Bumblebee tomatoes. Now, they're called Bumblebee, I think, because of the color. Look at the color on these before they're ripe. Isn't that beautiful? Wait till you see what they look like when they're ripe. But let's talk a little bit about the construction of this one. Productivity, a little bit less. But that being said, there's still plenty on there, and they're definitely a bigger tomato. Here we go. Let me pull off one of the ripe ones so you can see what they look like. That is so beautiful. Do you see those hints of like a greenish black color almost? Yeah, this is definitely a bigger variety kind of cherry tomato here. It's absolutely stunning. Now let's talk structure of this plant. It has a nice sturdy main stem. We still provided it with some support though, because as you can see, these fruits get a little bit heavier on it, so you want to support it as well. This is definitely a great container option here. Absolutely. These are stunning. Now, of course, we can't forget to do a taste test of this Bumblebee tomato. Almost too big for one bite. Good thick skin, really sweet. Man, these are absolutely fantastic. Great eating. That'd be fantastic on a salad, just like these others as well. Wow. Now there's actually one more from Andrea, but unfortunately we don't have any ripe enough on here for us to pick and do a taste test, but I'm going to show you this one because I think it's really cool. This is called a Geranium Kiss tomato, and it grows unlike any of the other tomatoes I've seen. It's a dwarf variety, so this is about the height we're going to get out of it, about 2 feet. I've read that it gets up to about 3 feet tall as well, but it's a determinate variety. It's stocky. If you look down here, this is a really nice massive stem. We didn't have to do anything. We have 2 of these. We didn't have to do anything to support these because, again, they're a dwarf variety. But one of the things that stands out to me is just how dense these leaves are. Look at that. It's like a forest of leaves underneath. And then it sends out all of these spots where we're going to have fruit. And just like our tiny Tim, it has a whole bunch of fruit compared to the size of the tomato. It's one of the things I like about these dwarf tomatoes. They really seem to produce a ton of fruit. So this is another one, even though we haven't tasted it yet, I've read all about it. I know it's supposed to have a super sweet, really nice taste to it, and you're gonna get a ton of fruit off of a plant like this. All right, I'm gonna quickly insert a tomato here that's not necessarily one that you're gonna find easily, but that's super cool, and the story behind it is awesome. If you watch M.I. Gardener's channel, you probably know that there's a tomato called a giant crimson tomato, and it's really rare. Why is it rare? Well, apparently they thought that this tomato was extinct until they found some seeds in an 85-year-old seed packet. They planted those seeds. 2 of them started off and developed, and 1 of them survived, and they've been making cuttings from it and saving the seeds from it ever since. And we are lucky enough to have a neighbor in our community who got the 2 seed packets, because you could only get 2, and each one had 5 seeds. And we're lucky enough that he said he would give us one of those packets of seeds. And on this tomato plant, we have about 12 or 13 of these tomatoes. So you better believe once these ripen up, we are going to do our best to save some of the seeds from here. I think that is the coolest story for a tomato plant. I tell you what, when we get to our seed giveaway this year, if we're able to collect enough seeds, maybe a few of you will be lucky enough to get a couple of these giant crimson tomatoes. They're not overly heavy producers, although I'll say for the size of this plant, it has a pretty good number of tomatoes on here. But isn't that awesome? The giant crimson tomato growing in our containers here. And we have another one of those giant crimson tomatoes growing around the corner. Now I'm gonna move over to a couple of tomatoes given to us by our good friend at Geeky Gardens. I think Geeky Gardens loves this tomato variety more than just about any other, but I don't want to put words into his mouth. This is the Praxis cherry tomato, Praxxus. Praxis cherry tomato given to us by Geeky Gardens. You can see the structure on this, a great, really nice thick stem. We could allow this to grow taller, but I tell you what, at about 2.5 to 3 feet right now, we can control the overall height and size of this plant. Yes, we gave it support because these cherry tomatoes are on the larger size, but I absolutely love this plant. Plenty of fruit on here for the size of the plant. The taste on these Praxis, absolutely outstanding. You know, I'm filming this video. I'm enjoying talking about these. I think I'm enjoying the snack even more. Geeky Gardens, these are delicious. Now, truth be told, we actually have 4 of those Praxis growing. When Geeky Gardens sent us these seeds, he sent us plenty, and you know, I saw them on his channel. I knew I had to try grow quite a few of them because they're just so tasty. And that moves us over to the other tomato that was given to us, and my personal favorite from Geeky Gardens. So I was watching one of Geeky Gardens videos and I saw this tomato, and it just, to me, looks so cool. It was this peach, kind of creamy looking tomato, and I sent him a message and I said, hey, what can you tell me about those garden peach tomatoes? And not only did he respond, but he sent us some of those seeds. Now the garden peach tomato is definitely going to need some support as it grows. We're already about 3.5 feet of height, but we've got it in a nice sturdy tomato cage. And one of the things that really impressed me about this, I'm seeing pretty good production overall. You see that there are quite a few tomatoes on here and more coming all the time. I like the size of these tomatoes. Look, if you didn't know that I was looking at a tomato right now, I mean, you'd think that's a peach, right? Doesn't that look like the bottom side of a peach right there? Well, let me pull this one off. It's our first ripe one. This is actually the first taste of this garden peach tomato that I'm getting. Can you see why I thought this was such a cool looking tomato? Why I really wanted to be able to grow this? So you're here with me right now as I'm taking my first bite of this. And I'm telling you right now, looks alone could make me recommend this tomato to you. But let's see the taste. Oh my. That is fabulous. It is sweet. There's not really a tang to this one. Oh my. Yeah, that's so worth it. And there's a ton of seeds in here. So many seeds. That is awesome. We're going to be saving seeds. We're going to be growing more of these in the future. Wow. So let me say once again, thank you so much to Geeky Gardens for these two varieties. These are absolutely amazing and they make great container tomatoes. All right, this is a small La Roma tomato here. You've probably seen this style before, or of the beefsteak type of tomato. Now this one only produced 4 and it's not that big. You can see we're looking probably at about 18 inches in height total for this plant. And we only got a few tomatoes off here, but I think really it's more the spot than anything else because we had all these other tomatoes with the earlier start kind of shading it out a little bit. So I think this one would perform a lot better in a different location, like for example on a patio. Now the stem itself is actually pretty thin and we've had to support it. We have some string here tying this on and keeping it upright to our metal trellising that we have here, and we've had to do that from pretty early on for this tomato. That's something you might have to keep in mind as you're growing it. Now beefsteak means that the seed pockets inside are usually a little bit smaller than your standard tomato. It's also going to be fleshier then, and so something like this is often used for canning or for making sauces. But I'm going to eat it just for you right now. It's not as sweet as a lot of our other varieties, but again, if you're somebody who is going in for canning, this takes up minimal space and it's really easy to grow. Now this last variety is not actually one that was given to us as a gift. This is a New Yorker tomato, and actually both of these New Yorker plants are getting to the point where they're starting to die back a little bit here. But these are determinate variety tomatoes that we purchased the seeds for online. We'll be saving some of these seeds as well. I mean, the size of this plant's about 2.5, maybe 3 feet tall at the tippy top of it. You can see it right there. And we've got probably 4 or 5 of our tomatoes on this. And they're a nice size. Actually, I just pulled this one off. And you can see they're probably 4 ounces maybe. Now this is a really nice variety of tomato as well. And one of the things that attracted to us is it's supposed to be pretty versatile, meaning you can eat it fresh, slice it up on salads. You can also use it for canning, and that is a big emphasis for us this year. We plan to do a lot of canning. Structurally, the way it grows, you can see one main stem and then a lot of smaller stems coming directly up from that. And I'll show you, that's not a fluke. That's exactly the way this other one grew as well. See the main stem here and then a lot of other small stems coming up. We did not have to support this one, but we did end up adding some support to this tomato. It was going to fall right off to the side as the main stem here got a little bit taller. So you may still have to have some support for it, but it's a nice sturdy tomato and it's got good production, I would say, for the amount of greenery as well. Well, I may have spoiled some of my dinner just now making this video, but I have no regrets, I promise you. Well, this video is all about showing you some varieties that we have growing here that we think would work really well for your patio garden. And on top of that, we really wanted to say thank you so much to those members of our community who were kind enough to send us some of the seeds from their gardens. I tell you what, these are varieties we're going to grow again and again just because of our community. We appreciate you very much. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions that we didn't answer in looking at these varieties, please leave us a comment and we'll do our best to solve that problem as quickly as possible. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.